this video is going to take you through transportation in a river. We already know that rivers erode things. They break down their bank and their bed. And rivers erode the things that they carry. The things that a river carries is called the load. And rivers erode their load by attrition. Attrition is when large, jaggedy rocks, over time, they smash against other large rocks, and eventually, because they're smashing and grinding together, they get smaller and smoother. Because of attrition, the size of the river's load, so the size of the things that a river's carrying, gets smaller and smaller as the river flows from the source to the sea. So in the upper course, near the source, the load contains lots of big boulders. By the time the river's got to the sea, where the mouth is, they're going to be really fine particles. Because of the different sizes of the load that the river carries, the load gets moved in different ways. So in the upper course, what's the size of the load like? Well, we've got our really big, jaggedy boulders. Now, they're very big and heavy, and it takes a lot of energy to move them. Imagine that you've gone on a shopping trip, and you bought a whole big box of stuff. Are you going to be able to carry that? No, you're not, are you? You're going to have to push it along the ground. You haven't got the energy to carry it, so you just push it along instead. It's a similar situation in rivers. In the upper course, where the load is large, you've got large boulders, they get rolled along the riverbed. So here is our river, and our large boulder there is being rolled along the riverbed. Now, what did we say happened to the load over time? It gets smaller. So as we move downstream, we're in the middle course now, we've moved further downstream, the load is going to be smaller. We've got a small rock in our river now. Here's our riverbed and here's our small rock. Okay, this time imagine you go on shopping and you bought a big bag of stuff, but not as big as the bag that you bought last time. You've got quite a lot of energy, so you can pick that bag up. But after time, you're going to run out of energy and you're going to have to put that bag back down again. This is similar to what happens in the river in the middle course. When we've got a rock or a small pebble, the river picks it up and it puts it down, picks it up and puts it down. So small pebbles and stones bounce along the bottom of the riverbed. Bit further down, we're now in the lower course. What is the size of the load going to be very close to the river's mouth? Well, we're going to have very small, fine material in the river. So this time, let's imagine you've gone shopping and you've only bought one thing, it's very small. Well, you're going to be able to pick that up and carry it along happily, aren't you? That's similar in the river. If the load is small and fine, it floats along in the water. Or we call that, it is suspended in the water. Now, geographers have given each one of these forms of transportation names. So when we've got in the upper course, let's draw our long profile here. Here's our long profile of the river. This represents height above sea level. So in our upland areas, we've got our source. Move along. Notice now we're at sea level, where our mouth is flowing into the sea. Here is our upper course, our middle course, and our lower course. Lower course, middle course, and upper course. In the upper course, our our load is big, and it gets smaller and smaller as the river flows towards the sea. Our big boulders, how are they moved? Well, they're rolled along, and that process is called traction. Our small pebbles, how are they moved? They're bounced along, and that process is called saltation. And our really fine material that floats along in the water, it's suspended, so that's called suspension. Now, some rocks dissolve into water. Remember when we were talking about erosion and we said that some rocks dissolve into water? Just like if you put sugar into a cup of tea, you stir it around, it will disappear because it's been dissolved into the water. So once rocks have been dissolved into the water, they move along as part of the liquid. And that process is called solution. So there we go. Most important points. The things that the river carries, the load gets smaller as the river flows from the source to its mouth. And as a result of that, there are 4 different types of transportation, or 4 different ways the river moves its load. Traction, saltation, suspension, and solution.